Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another The First Descendant video. My name is SgtMoose, and today, guys, are going to be talking about the newest boss, the Tormentor, and of course, the new content coming in with Season 2, Episode 2 of The First Descendant, guys. We've been having a lot of fun with this new update. We finished the story, went through the whole story with Gley and Serena and all that cool stuff. It was a blast, but if you're like me, you probably checked out this newest boss, the Tormentor, the new Void Abyss boss. It is a lot of fun with some new mechanics as well. The Tormentor, of course, and we were trying to figure out because, you know, I like to collect the skins for these Abyss bosses. I'm addicted to it, and of course I'm going to be going through this season wanting to get all the skins as well. So I'm trying to formulate a build that can, take out this boss pretty quick. But the reason I'm making this video, guys, is because, I was just trying a few things, kind of getting a feel for this boss. I wanted to see if the Last Dagger would still, hold up, it would still be useful. And the answer is yes, guys. The Last Dagger is still the way to go. So we're making a very early build video now. I am still working and tweaking this Last Dagger as much as possible. But the reason I'm making this video is because the boss kills are still very, very quickly. We're getting boss kills in 10 seconds or less right now with this current setup, and we haven't really even made any changes to it, so it's only going to get better. But I want to get into the Last Dagger a little bit, guys. We've already made a video on this Last Dagger build and how to kill every boss in the game quickly with it, but now it also does the newest boss with some minor tweaks. So the new boss, of course, that we know is electric type. Of course, it is weak to toxic. So the only tweak I really made here in the modules is I swapped out, and put on a toxic enhancement mod. And of course, we're going to take a look here, guys. We'll go through these modules as well. We have rifling reinforcement for firearm attack, 32%. Action and reaction, of course, 61% firearm attack as well. And of course, fire rate up. Standard for most guns. We have weak point sight, of course, for weak point damage. That's what we're going to be focusing on with the Colossi. Better insight for firearm critical hit rate. Of course, with Gley's ability, she can get her crit rate up to 100%. So keep that in mind. Another mod here, mental focus. Fire rate -10, but whenever you're firing the gun, you're going to get up to 150 stacks of firearm attack for 150% extra firearm attack. And the reason we're running this is because the Last Dagger shoots so fast, the way we have it built up, that it's really easy to get these 150 stacks up with mental focus. Coming over to concentration priority, guys, 120% critical hit damage. Whenever we're landing, all those crits have aiming for extra weak point damage, better concentration for even more critical hit damage. And this is pretty much the setup for the Last Dagger. And as you guys can see, we have mods set up for other bosses as well. Now, here's the biggest tweak I made, guys, because I tried this, I threw on the toxic enhancement, but I was still having trouble beating this boss, like without dying. We could still beat it, but we were dying a few ways through it. It was really messy trying to complete this boss, and I wanted something that I could actually kind of one-phase this boss with, and this build will do the trick. So what we went ahead and did, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit further too, is we went ahead with our weapon cores. As you guys can see here, we have all level 10s. Nothing has changed except for one core on my last video. We have firearm attack, 80%, 2 firearm attacks here, another 76%, plus the fire rates is what's going to make this gun amazing with Gley. But the one I changed up top, guys, as you can see, is toxic attack. I swapped out critical hit damage for the toxic attack. For some reason, critical hit damage, I was not one-phasing this boss. I threw on even more toxic attack, and that was the key to getting this boss down in 10 seconds or less. So we're running the toxic attack weapon core, and down here with the substats, I have not changed any of these either. Firearm critical hit damage, bonus firearm attack versus Colossus, firearm attack, and weak point damage. Now, I could mess around with these in the future and even add more toxic attack to this weapon, but I'm kind of comfortable where it's at right now. We might make some changes, and that leads me into talking about, I think I'm going to make a Last Dagger now that it's easier to make a new weapon and not have to farm it a bunch of times. It's going to be easier in that regard. We'll probably make another Last Dagger for all of the other bosses to where I can still have that critical damage up top instead of the toxic attack, and then I'll probably just have this one made specifically for this boss, and of course all other electric bosses as well. But coming into Gley's modules real quick, guys, we'll just give you a quick little look at these. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you, if you guys are looking at this build, you probably have a Gley built already. pretty simple. You know, we have HP, we have skill cooldown, stuff like that. All that good stuff just to focus on her ability. These are her mods, and of course with the reactor, doesn't really matter as long as you're looking at your substats. And for the components, we are running Volcanic. I know a lot of people like to talk about Annihilation, which is also another good set as well, but nothing of the mods of my previous video has been changed, just the weapon itself. So like I said, guys, the only thing I did was I swapped out Toxic Attack for the critical hit damage at the very top for the free slot. And, you know, again, it's a very early build, and I know a lot of people might come in and be like, oh, well, you know, it's not killing them in 5 seconds or anything. That's very true, but as of right now, I think for a first look, just running in at a first glance at this boss and being able to take it down with 10 seconds without really having to make any changes whatsoever except for a few minor tweaks, I feel like it's a pretty good first build, especially if you want to get some boss kills down on this boss. But yes, guys, that is the build. I'm also going to run you through and show you how the mechanics are of beating this boss and how I'm able to beat it as well. So let's jump into it. And before I do that, one more thing, I want to talk about the Inversion Reinforcement. Obviously, our reinforcement has reset. I don't know why I unlocked all these like this, but focus on getting to toxic focus rounds because this will help you out as well. So we're only at Inversion level 5 right now, but we have enough to be able to get to toxic focus rounds. This will also help you bring him down faster. So without further ado, let's jump into the gameplay and talk about that a little bit. Now, I'm going to slow this initial encounter down a little bit, guys, so I can talk about what we're doing here. We're going to pop Gley's first ability, which is going to put us in Frenzied mode, and it's going to give us additional firearm attack. This stays active for the duration of the activity. Right after, we're going to pop her third ability, and we're just going to shoot into the Abyss as we work on building up our mental focus stacks. As you guys can see in the left-hand side of the screen, our goal is to get 150 stacks. That way we get the maximum damage on the boss as soon as we can. So once this ability runs out, of course, we're going to pop it again, and what this ability does, it gives us unlimited ammo for the duration of the ability. No reloading, nothing like that. You are just focused on shooting. We're going to shoot, of course, the weak point. We're going to break that weak point off, and of course, we're going to keep shooting that spot until the boss falls over, and we're going to continue shooting. Now, I would like to have a little more duration on this, and I think that's where the arcade tuning is going to come in for me, so we can get that entire health bar down before the boss gets back up. But it's still no problem. We just pop the third ability again, and we take out the boss. It's really that simple, guys. And the reason I'm laying it out like this, guys, is because I know most of you watching this video do already know how to use Gley, but it's mainly for those that don't really know how she works. And, you know, a lot of folks, they copy builds, but for some reason, it doesn't work for them because they don't know the mechanics. It's important to not only know the build, but you also have to know how to use the build. And that's where a lot of people fail. They copy builds, but they don't know how to use them, and then they're complaining that they're not working right. So this is why I'm kind of laying it down. This is what you have to do to be able to beat these bosses. And the same goes with this boss as pretty much any other boss in the game. To be honest, shoot its weak point until it falls over and kill it. I mean, it's really as simple as that. But guys, this is our very early Tormentor build for Gley and the Last Dagger. Like I said, I just wanted to see how it still worked, if the Last Dagger could still perform, and the answer is an easy yes. This will get you easy, fast kills to get them quality ETA vouchers for the Tormentor, and of course, we'll be working further to improve this build even more, and of course we'll be bringing that to you whenever we do, and of course using all the new weapons that have came out in the game too. We're working on all that. It's honestly a little overwhelming, guys. We're working on farming Serena right now. We're going to be making build videos for her and the new weapons. So if you guys enjoyed this content, man, feel free, if you haven't already, to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, let me know if this build helped you out. Also, guys, I'll pop my creator code up there as well. If you guys want to support me as your creator, I would be deeply grateful for that as well. But with that said, my name's SgtMoose. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.